from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Forecaster John Bordash with you here in the JB Weather Center this evening, tracking what's going on radar. We do have a few storms out there. Before we get too underway, if you can let me know if you hear me, that would be much appreciated, because it's always when I don't ask that question that you all actually don't end up hearing me. But in the meantime, I do see Megan saying getting some nice thunder and lightning in parts of the region. Yeah, and we've had a couple of these storms kind of work on through. And also, Donna says she can hear me, so that means we're all good to go. So yeah, we've seen these storms kind of pulse up and pulse down throughout the evening. Much of today, we saw pretty nice weather. Temperatures actually got a little toasty, overperformed a little bit, got into the upper 70s. And we have a cold front that's working through the region right now. And that's helping to set off some of these showers, some of these storms. Nothing is severe right now. But if I allow radar to loop here over the last 2 hours or so, and we'll see if it wants to go that far back. What you'll see is we saw storms initially fire up here in the Annapolis region, right over DC, and then back over towards Dale City. And parts of Anne Arundel County actually got several storms that work through here. These little triangles here represent where there could be hail. And it might be hard for you to see if you're watching on a mobile phone. We saw a couple of those little hail cores move right through Mayo, then down towards Shady Side. We saw another hefty storm about 45 minutes ago work through northern Calvert County. And then another one worked through northern Calvert County. And now these have begun to congeal into almost kind of like a line, kind of. And now that's all kind of pushing to the south. But just because you get this main line here that pushes to your south doesn't mean you're out of the clear for rain. We're looking at additional areas of rain developing back to the north. So Upper Marlboro, just to the south of Lothian, Dunkirk, Brandywine, Lower Marlboro. You all are getting in on some additional areas of rain. Granted, this line right here really kind of is the main focal point for this, and this is really where that leading edge of the cooler air is. So once this pushes through, you're going to notice your temperatures drop pretty dramatically by about a good 10 to 15 degrees. And right now, this is producing a hefty amount of rain, even a little bit of hail with this line. What I want to do, another one of our programs actually does a pretty good job of allowing us to look at hail. I want to see if it's registering any hail, and actually it's not doing that good of a job. But typically where you can get these pinks, so right over Hughesville and right over here to the north of Dares Beach, that would be indicative of where we're looking at least a little bit of hail. And radar right now is indicating the potential for hail up to about pea size, about half an inch or so in diameter. And this entire line here, this is going to be pushing to the south. So if we were to put a storm track on it, and we'll see if this works for me, and it does not. So we'll give that a second to reboot to allow that to work. So let me let that happen while we get our other radar products loaded up here. What we're going to notice coming back in here, this line again really is the main focal point. Additional areas of rain have developed back to the west as well, near the Fredericksburg area. Those are pushing to the south, so I really think much of our region should be game on to see rain. I think the time frame we're looking at is generally going to be over about the next 1, 2, 3 hours. We should see some clearing by the time we hit midnight, but up until that point, I think that's really going to be the time frame we're talking about, to be looking at that rain threat, and even a little bit of thunder and lightning as well, continuing that late. And coming back over here, radar is indicating these storms strengthening a little bit, producing up over now 100 strikes of lightning. You're getting a little bit more thunder as well, because this is just cloud to ground lightning. We're looking at a little bit more cloud to cloud lightning, which also does produce that thunder. So let's go ahead. Let's try to get that storm track loaded up. There we go. That wants to work now. So we'll take this entire little line, send it back here towards Quantico. We are going to move this at about 46 miles per hour. I'm going to take it a little bit like that. So this would give you a general idea of timing in our region. So I want to move this so you can actually see it. So yeah, this is just a general look. So right now kind of on your doorstep at Mechanicsville, Port Republic, Newburgh. This should be pushing into Lesby here in about the next 10-ish minutes, so heads up in southern Calvert County. Solomon's by about 8:50, Leonardtown around the same time, 8:51, California 8:53, Lexington Park on over towards 8:56, St. Mary's City getting even down towards you all by 9 o'clock, and I do think down in southern St. Mary's County, where you typically get mist, Scotland, St. Inigo's, Park Hall, Ridge, Valley Lee, Great Mills, you should be getting in on some of this rain probably after about 9, maybe closer to 9:30. So down there you might have a little bit more time, but we're even noticing some additional pockets of rain firing up through parts of King George and Spotsylvania County. So that tells you that there is the potential for us to see some additional development out ahead of this main line. But again, it's really these areas here in pink. So right now, that's just off the Eagle Harbor through Benedict on over through parts of Prince Frederick, where you're looking at the greatest risk of some hail, then additionally on over towards Pittsburgh. So again, it's all that pushes south. Be aware of that. I don't think we're talking huge hail. We're not talking hail in excess of 1 inch. And thankfully, right now, and I'll double check this, our radar is not indicating winds that are over 60 miles an hour. So right now, the highest wind gust I'm finding sits right around 56 miles per hour. And this is going to get rather technical, but typically when we're talking about a severe thunderstorm, we're talking winds of at least 58 miles per hour or 1-inch size hail. So we're sitting just below both of those criteria markers right now with this storm, which is something to keep in mind, that these are not exactly severe storms. These are just, I guess, garden variety storms. However, they are a little bit gusty and they do have some heavy rain with them. So keep that in mind as these continue to push on through. Thankfully, the risk of a tornado is exceptionally low today, so that is not something we're really worried about at the moment. I really think the main risk here is just going to be heavy rain and then frequent thunder and lightning as well. So yeah, and you're probably going to be hearing, given how warm it is out ahead of this, so through southern Calvert County and parts of St. Mary's County, even on the northern neck, with how warm it is outside and with how dry it's been over the last day and a half, these the lightning and the thunder the thunder that is being produced by this lightning, there we go. That thunder you're going to hear a decent ways away. So you could be sitting in Solomon's or Lexington Park or any of those regions. The storm isn't exactly happening where you are right now. With that said, though, you could probably hear the thunder from a decent ways away, just because of how warm and how dry it is. Sound tends to travel a little bit quicker in those types of setups when we're talking about that. And I want to see why this. Let's see. Okay, we'll come back over here. This bad boy doesn't always like cooperating with me, especially in times of high needs. We will let that, we'll give the program a little bit of a reset. But yeah, so we're just going to be watching this. And kind of as we just zoom out, some of these storms are meeting severe weather criteria. So let's turn temperatures off for a minute. You can see where we are getting some of these severe thunderstorm warnings on over towards parts of New Jersey with those orange polygons. That's really where we're talking about the highest severe weather risk right now. Is it possible that we could see 1 or 2 of these little storms that are within this line go severe? 100% we could see that happen. I don't think it'll be widespread. And if anything, it's going to be rather short-lived. If we come back, try this again, come back over here. If we put this into motion, you can see how quickly these storms are moving. Let's put this on an hour loop. You can see these aren't exactly sitting over the same spots. The main issue with this is that we're looking at storms firing up over the same spot. So these storms are generally quick moving at about 35 to 50 miles an hour to the east. But then once one passes through, you get additional development. And we've seen that a lot on over towards Anne Arundel County, especially southern parts of Anne Arundel County, south of Annapolis, across Edgewater and Mayo and Hillsmire Shores, Highland Beach area. Those areas have seen like 2 or 3 separate storms move over their region over the last hour to 2 hours. So that could definitely happen here. So right now, kind of the core of where we're looking at some of the heaviest rain, some of the most intense weather, is right now pushing through Hughesville, pushing through Benedict, pushing through Prince Frederick. I want to see actually if our Benedict Tower cam is able to give us a good look on this. So give me a moment while I get that together. Working several different things here. But yeah, so and while I do that, stay aware here over the next, I'll call it 3 hours, right? Up until about midnight. Again, not really talking a huge severe weather threat, but that potential is definitely there to see some nasty weather over the next 3 hours or so. And actually, our Benedict camera isn't the best right now since it's nighttime, and it's one of those cameras that has a hard time working at night. So what I do want to do is get a storm track loaded back up on this and get a Facebook post up, and actually that's not working. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and log off. I'm not going to say much more else than I already have. So stay up to date. If we have any new weather warnings that come through, I will continue to keep you updated. I'll be here all evening. Facebook.com/JBWeatherLLC. Twitter at JB_weather, and Instagram at JB Weather for the latest information. And you can always get the latest forecast and access radar data, futurecasts, all that good stuff on the website, jbweather.net. That is kind of the peak pinnacle there. But again, any new weather warnings or the weather gets a little bit more intense than it already is, I'll have updates for you live. Otherwise, I will have updates with you online with written posts. So have a nice and safe one, and keep it tuned right here to JB Weather, continuing to keep you ahead of any storm that fires.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.